Forecourt and Equipment Show, co-located with the National Convenience Show, was staged from 25th to 27th of March at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. The Forecourt equipment section accounted for about 1/4 of the total exhibition area, with around 45 exhibitors, as shown in the green space on the floor plan. We're here in the UK at the NEC, the National Exhibition Centre of Birmingham, to visit the Forecourt and Fuel Equipment Show. The show might have been slightly bigger in previous years, but the UK is still a very important market for our industry. Several of the big companies are exhibiting here, along with some of the smaller ones, and we're now going to get in and find people to talk to. Wayne is the official sponsor of this year's video review from the FFE, and I'm delighted to be here at the Wayne booth with Zoran Powell-Holes. Hello, Zoran.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. What is it that's so important for Wayne about the FFE?
The Forecourt show is really important for us. It's a really good opportunity for industry networking and for meeting old and new customers, especially independent retailers. We talk a lot about well-renowned pumps, but this year especially there's much interest about our maintenance service. Wayne in the UK is very proud that we have quite a reputation now for delivering very good service, and one of the things that shows that is that most of our business comes from other retailers recommending us.
That's a very interesting fact. So service is clearly a very interesting point, a very important point for Wayne. But what is there new? What new products do you exhibit here?
This year we are relaunching our Fusion Forecourt system, and it's really been rebranded into 3 products. Fusion 1000 is your more traditional Forecourt controller, but because of the flexible architecture, it's really future-proof. So if a customer has requirements changing, we can easily upgrade instead of having to change it into a new model. The Fusion 3000 is the more traditional console, which is popular in developing markets, not so relevant in the UK. But the Fusion 6000 is really your one-box power horse solution, where you not only get the Forecourt controls, we offer remote diagnostics, so again back to service, and we also can host back office systems and even a till. And actually today on the show, all the pumps you see here is running on this little box here, and so would you do in a real environment.
That's very interesting, Zoran. So how do the customers respond to that?
We have a very good response to the Fusion product. In fact, we're already rolling out with several of our customers in Europe. And here in the UK, we are rolling out with one of our customers across the estate of 300 sites.
That's good news. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sponsoring the video review.
Thank you very much. We are delighted to be sponsoring this report and for always connecting with you guys. Thank you.
We are lucky to meet up with Fraser Duffin. He's the owner, or one of the owners, of MRH, which is the UK's largest independent retailer. Fraser, one of the issues you're dealing with at the moment is a potential strike from tanker drivers. So can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. There was it's been in the offing for a little while now, and there was a ballot of drivers by the Unite Union yesterday where they have voted in favour of strike action. They don't have to call the strike straight away. We're hoping that both their employing companies and the union will get back around the table and try and work something out so the strike doesn't go ahead. But we've already seen people, as of yesterday afternoon when this was announced, filling up their tanks when they don't necessarily have to. I mean, you might call it panic buying, but it's certainly people filling up more. Our sales were up more yesterday. And the problem is that stocks in sites are generally quite low, and we've already seen sites starting to run out of fuel just from the threat of the strike. So if the strike does go ahead, it could be quite quick that there are sites dry up and down the country. I was at a meeting with the Department of Energy yesterday where they're trying to put an emergency action plan in place which involves using army tanker drivers. The drivers are yet to be trained, and there's numbers of problems at the forecourt end of this, that if a driver hasn't been fully trained, what happens if he puts diesel into a petrol tank, who'd be liable for this sort of thing, making sure that there's a risk assessment for every delivery, because if there's a new driver who's not used to the site, he won't know emergency escape routes from site. So it's a problem that, or a solution to a problem that we're trying to embrace, but there's an awful lot of work to make sure that it can be done in a safe and in a manner that doesn't affect the quality of our stocks. And the last thing we want is contamination of two different products in one tank. It could be very expensive.
So I presume this has got to do with the high price of fuel?
Oh no, absolutely not. It's nothing to do with that at all. Really, the drivers are striking for an improvement in their terms and conditions. There have been some concerns from the drivers' union about safety of tankers on the road, that there have been a couple of incidents recently where they have concerns that drivers may be spending too long on the road. But in general, it's all about wanting to renegotiate their terms and conditions and collective bargaining of their packages. So.
And Fraser, while we've got you here, what's going on in the UK market for our readers from all around the world?
Well, like everyone else, I mean, we're suffering from the high price of fuel. It's something that we in the UK, in terms of retailers, can do very little about. We had a budget last week where the Chancellor announced that, in effect, there will be an extra 4p on duty going on from the 1st of August. He could have frozen that, but he's gone ahead with it. We have retail prices at record highs. From independent dealers' point of view, our margins are at all-time lows. We typically make in the UK about 4p a litre gross margin against the price of nearly now £1.50. And it's having its effect in terms of closing a lot of forecourts down. A tanker load of fuel now is nearly £60,000. It's an awful lot for an independent dealer to buy. And last year we saw another 400 sites closed. We've now got only 8,500 filling stations in the UK with a population of 60 million people. It's extremely low. A lot of it has been brought around by, as has happened through much of the rest of Europe, supermarkets selling fuel at discounted prices. And as the overall price of fuel goes up, customers become much more price conscious. There has been a submission now via the RMI, which is the Independent Retailers Group, to the Office of Fair Trading for a full UK study. We should hear by the end of this month whether they are going to step in and look at cross-subsidisation by supermarkets where they're selling fuel for far less than it should be. Very difficult at the moment, though, to get a government body to study that'll say that fuel is cheaper than it should be when you've got fuel prices at record levels. But it is crippling for a lot of independent retailers, and I say another 400 closed down last year.
So what does MRH do to maximise the potential and the profit from your retail operations?
Well, at the moment, like probably any other dealers in the UK, the focus really is on the shop offer and convenience. As we're seeing the profitability from our fuel side diminish, you can't just stand still. So, like many groups, we are looking at expanding our shop. There's been quite a push from the supermarket companies into convenience in the UK, but the one thing that's really going well at the moment is food on the move. Convenience food, hot food in shops, where somebody can drive into your forecourt, park, go grab a snack, coffee. The coffee companies are really booming over here. So it's really tailoring your retail offer to something that the supermarkets and others really can't touch. And if you can run a successful convenience store with good food and convenience and a decent oil brand, if you've got those three elements together, you'll carry on and you'll do well. But one thing on their own, just saying we're going to sell fuel or we're just going to specialise as a shop, one element alone, you really won't survive.
It's been great to have you here. A lot of our readers will be very interested in your comments. Thank you very much, Fraser.
Thank you.
There's lots of exciting things happening right now with Tokheim around the world, and here at the FFE I'm talking to Mike Piggott. He's the General Manager of Tokheim UK and Ireland. Mike, how are you? How's it going today?
It's gone very well today. The show has been very busy. and the customers are quite good. Excellent.
And Tokheim is quite a big name when it comes to pumps and dispensers, but here at the FFE you're focusing on your payment systems or payment end systems. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we focused on the forecourt infrastructure, systems and payment, starting off with the fuel pods that you see on my right hand side here, where you've got easier navigation, good workflows, clear icon, contemporary, and it helps customer service and client throughput.
So you have changed the whole graphics, have you?
We've completely overhauled the graphic interface of the fuel pods.
What's the benefit for the customer then?
Well, easier customer services for them. The throughput to the station's much quicker because navigating around the screens is much easier.
But there is actually another product that has caught the eyes of the visitors, so what's that all about?
Yeah, that's the Tokheim TQC VGA, which is a 17-inch VGA screen, which gives you the power of media. It's a fantastic, very vibrant looking product, and it really has captured the eyes of our clients.
How do you get the media on the screen?
Well, it's very similar to iTunes. You create a playlist in a very secure environment via the internet, and the customers can create that playlist at ease. They can import any type of media. They then upload that securely, and then it plays out very quickly, and it looks fantastic.
So is that product available worldwide?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
If you want to know something about the UK markets, best thing you can do is having an interview with Merril Bolton, who's the editor of the Forecourt Trader, the UK's largest magazine for the fuel markets. Merril, I understand you had some panel sessions today and yesterday here at the FFE. So what were the key issues?
Well, the key issues are about fuel pricing. Prices are at record levels. That makes it really difficult for retailers. They have to fork out a lot more cash. I think it costs about $55,000 to get a tanker load of fuel. This puts increasing pressure on them. Fuel volumes are in decline overall. They're also facing an awful lot of pressure from the discounters, so the supermarkets. The supermarkets are now, like Tesco is the biggest supplier of retail fuel in the UK. So fuel pricing and with it a lot of issues which have led the Retail Motor Industry Federation to ask for an inquiry into the market by the Office of Fair Trading. So they're waiting to hear if indeed that inquiry will go ahead. If it doesn't, then it seems like the country will be very, very vulnerable in terms of fuel supply, especially as now you've got the situation with a potential strike by the fuel tanker drivers, which could hold the country to ransom. There is actually no plan, emergency supply plan, and at the moment the government is training up the army to deal with the fuel supplies, which retailers are uneasy about in terms of safety. So that is the main serious issue at the moment. Apart from that, there are some positive signs in that in this last year, although the number of fuel outlets are declining, then they have significantly, like in the 60s, I think there were 40,000, now they're at 8,500. And that rate of decline has slowed to the lowest ever. There were only 100 sites that closed. The net balance is 100 sites closed last year. So 50 sites, 50 new sites opened and 50 sites were reopened. So a lot of people are showing interest in the industry, private financial institutions, because if they go into business in terms of scale, if they've got the scale, if they can buy a big number of sites, then the opportunities from the convenience element of the business can bring bigger rewards.
For our readers all around the world, so what is actually the price of fuel at the moment in the UK?
It's just reached record levels on unleaded just this weekend, and as you can see, it's gone up to 140.20 pence per litre for unleaded, and it's at 146.72 for diesel. So they've risen up to record levels in recent years, and that's these are the highest prices ever. So putting extra pressure on the consumer's pocket, which in turn puts extra pressure on retailers.
Thank you very much, Merril, for the insight. And for all our readers who want to know more about the UK market, read the Forecourt Trader. I'm with Jack Williams, Technical Director at Berries. Berries have traditionally been a very UK company, but I heard you have done a lot of business in the Middle East now. So can you explain me a bit more about that?
That's correct. One of our products, the Easy Riser, that's really taken off in the Middle East. It's specifically geared around PV valve maintenance, and obviously the Middle East we have issues with the weather. It's a lot of sand, and PV valves need quite a bit of maintenance, so this product's a bit of a shoe-in. In terms of the Far East, with the new product, the Midas, this Midas stands for Misfuel Identification and Avoidance System, and it's basically designed to prevent tanker misfuels into bulk fuel storage tanks. And that product's basically been launched 3 weeks ago in Singapore, and it's taken off. It's really gone crazy.
So the Midas is the newest product. How does that work?
The system's installed at either below or above ground filling positions on a petrol forecourt. It's then calibrated against a specific fuel type. If the fuel type's correct, it allows the delivery to commence. If the fuel type's wrong, it prevents a delivery and warns the driver both audibly and visually. It's basically bringing full intelligent control to the filling position on the forecourt.
It's a very good sign that you're now on the international market, because the Midas is actually on Petroplaza on the product news at the moment. So thank you very much for your time, Jack.
Absolutely, thank you.